Watch and burn.
Hey, so tonight I just wanted to discuss quickly the concept of physical copies of music versus digital copies of music, or maybe not even digital copies of music, or just if you listen to your music digitally, like through a service such as YouTube or Spotify, versus purchasing physical copies. In my opinion, that doesn't mean that you're into music any less. And the reason that I felt compelled to make this video was a few days ago was I was at one of my favorite local used record stores, and I overheard a conversation from a couple people. I have no idea who they were, but they were discussing how like their collection of music somehow made them superior to people who only listen to music on Spotify or even on the radio or YouTube or whatever, like as if in the grand scheme of things that meant something. Like, look at me, like I'm Captain Music because I have thousands of pieces of plastic and you don't, and therefore you're not into it as much as me. And I hate that attitude. I think that if you're paying for a subscription to Spotify or you're not paying for a subscription to Spotify, or likewise with YouTube, whether you're spending all your money on music or no money on music, you can still love music. It doesn't really matter. If you want to support the industry, you have to purchase new music. And that was the other thing that kind of drove me crazy about the conversation that I heard, was those two people having that conversation were in a used record store buying used copies of music that the bands that they were buying aren't seeing a dime from, and the industry isn't getting to catalog the sale anymore so that they can, add it to the stats and see that people are buying this and that and whatever else. If you're buying used music, you're not supporting the industry at all. The initial sale has already taken place whenever it was, whoever it was, bought it way back when, and then they chose to sell it to the secondhand store. And when you buy it from the secondhand store, it just goes into the pocket of the small business owner, which is great because you're supporting the economy and everything. But at the same time, you're not supporting the music industry. And so I really didn't like that conversation they were having because there was that attitude of superiority at play, and they weren't even supporting the bands that they were buying. They were buying used copies. And it's like these are the same people that would bash people who download music illegally. But used record stores, when you think about it, are just the illegal downloading of yesterday, right? Prior to a person being able to download via a file sharing service or through downloading them off YouTube or whatever, you went to a used record store and you bought the record cheap, and the band that you were supporting wasn't supported at all because they didn't see a dime from that sale. So I don't love that. I think that if you love music and you never spend a dime on it and you know every word and it hits you like right in the chest and you love every second of it, that means you love every second of it. And it doesn't matter that you've never spent money on it. And just like people who love buying physical copies of music, like I love buying physical copies of music. I always have, and I always will. But I don't for a second hold myself to any like, oh, check me out, I'm elevated next to the person that doesn't, or any of that nonsense. I couldn't care less. I think anybody that shows off their collection of music to the world, I think it's kind of sad. I mean, I think if you're like, yeah, you should come over and, check out my music collection. Is it bigger than yours? Yeah, it is. You're not really into it because I have thousands. You only have hundreds. You have 10. I have a million. And somehow, like I said, in the grand scheme of things, that matters somehow. All it really serves to do is make that person look like a fucking dickhead. And those are those toxic pieces of shit that I want nothing to do with. I'd rather hang out with the person that listens to Taylor Swift on Spotify all day than hang out with the person that shows me how they have every copy and every pressing of every album and every EP and every demo like Slayer or whoever ever released, because there's always that attitude of check me out, I'm better than you because I spend money on these things and you don't. And that drives me nuts. And so, yeah, I felt compelled to make this again because, like I said, there's really no comparison between digital music and physical music. If you love buying physical music, buy physical music. But please don't think that elevates you in any sense. It just means you like purchasing physical music. It doesn't mean you're more into it than somebody who doesn't. We're all equal here. If I'm not mistaken, I think the line that comes to mind is music is a universal language that's meant for all people. And that means all people who buy music, who don't buy music, who can afford to buy music. If you can't afford to buy music, and you're listening to it for free, that means that you're still listening to it because you love it. And that's what matters. If you love the music you're listening to, or the music that you're into, or whatever. Not, oh, check me out, I have 10,000 pieces of wax, so I'm way more into it than everybody else. That's a horrible attitude, and that's the type of person that you should run from, because Oh, fuck, everybody knows somebody like that. When they're around, you just want to stick a gun in your mouth. But yeah, so, don't really have anything else to say on this topic. If you love music, you love music. It doesn't matter how you choose to consume the music that you love. Just as long as you love it. That's the only thing that matters. That's what keeps music going, is the love that people have for it. But yeah, so I'm going to go. Thank you so much for listening to me rant about this. I know a lot of people out there who buy physical music, physical copies of music aren't going to be too happy about this. Feel free to bash me in the comments because I really don't give a fuck. I felt like this forever and I'm not going to change. Buying physical copies of music doesn't mean you're superior to anyone. Have a good night. I just wanted to say thank you for making it through the entire video. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to remind everyone one more time, even though I've probably already done this in the video that you just watched, to please click the like button as well as the subscribe button because it helps this channel grow. And thank you for hitting like and subscribe, and we will see you guys really soon.